When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and it is another fabulous week here over at the Leap community. I have just been doing some amazing things. We have a retreat coming up November 1st through the 5th that is almost sold out. We have one bed left. And November 17th, we also have an amazing women's conference that I'm putting on here as our first annual women's conference of the Empower and Elevate Networking Conference. And we're already 50% sold out on that. And I really haven't even started marketing those tickets. So if you are in Arizona and you want to get there, make sure you click on the link below and get your ticket so that you can get there. I'm excited today because as every week we talk about this, I have the most fabulous guests and I just happen to attract the most amazing people around me. I'm telling you, it is one of the best things in my life to attract these people. And Christina Jones is here with us today. And I'm just going to ask each one of you, who would love to be awarded a multi-million-dollar contract from either the federal or the state government? Who would love that? How would you like to get a $10 million contract or a multi-million-dollar contract? Well, today we're going to tell you how to do it, and we're going to talk about it so we can educate you on it, because why keep hustling when there's money out there for the taking? But before we do that, I do want to jump over and thank our sponsor of today's show, Ally Spine Center. What sets our office apart from other offices is our focus and expertise in treating degenerative spinal conditions, including disc disease, bulging herniated discs, spinal stenosis, neuropathy, sciatica pain, tingling, and numbness in the arms, hands, legs, feet, as well as severe and chronic neck pain and headaches. Wow. If you have any of that, then you need Ally Spine Center here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if they specialize in corrective care, and I'm actually one of their patients, they just don't treat the symptoms, with physical medicines. They actually correct and use post and pre, types of images that are going to help you improve that spine. So if you're not in Arizona, do not fret, because Ally Spine Center at 480-809-4700 is connected to so many other corrective care places across the United States. So please reach out to them and at allyspinecenter.com. And thank you so much today, Ally Spine Center, for being the sponsor of today's show. Well, let's talk about Miss Christina Jones here. Such a good friend of mine. She's an expert government contracting consultant that helps position firms for success in government sales. She's worked as an industry professional in training, technical writing, process improvement, and strategic planning for Fortune 500 small and mid-sized firms over the past 20 years, and specifically in government procurement for over 15 years. Ms. Jones' revenue through government contracting, and Ms. Jones is passionate about, educating business owners from novice to experience on how to increase procurement strategies that have led to many multi-million-dollar contract awards within recent years. And so, Christina Jones, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Colleen.
This is so
I'm
great.
glad to be here. Yeah.
I am so glad to have you here. And you are wicked smart, so wicked smart. I don't even think you realize how wicked smart you are. And so tell me why government contracts really, it does not sound sexy. And I think a lot of businesses aren't really positioning themselves or going for them. A, they don't know how to. B, It doesn't sound sexy, right? It's not, I wouldn't call it the low-hanging fruit, but you might say there is low-hanging fruit.
There are some,
available.
but in general, the agency's not. The industry's not.
Let's talk about that. So government funding, what's out there? Why'd you get into it? Why this?
Okay. So I'm going to just tell you, I fell into this. I'm not going to say that I was not a government employee. I worked in corporate America and life insurance for many years, and it did not, as Colleen say, light me up. And I really enjoy, for some reason, and most people don't enjoy this, but I enjoy like paperwork. I enjoy writing. I just enjoy problem solving. And so I initially started out, I left my corporate job actually through prayer, and also someone, honestly, who came to me when I was with my 5-year-old at daycare and said, you know what? I think the Lord said you should leave your job now. I had already been thinking about that. So I tell my husband, this is what I'm going to do. And so he's like, okay. And so I did. And I started out with grant writing, which I liked. But I actually was asked by a mentor to help someone get certified. As someone with, you may not be familiar with this, as an 8A firm. So I was able to do that successfully, just to basically write their response when they had been denied. And then I just really enjoyed everything about this. I mean, it may not be, again, like I said, a joy for everyone else, but for me, this is something I love to do. And so I just dug in and learned everything. And actually, it's been, it's about 16 years almost now that I've been doing it. And I've just learned so much through participating on contracts myself, beyond just what you hear, but exactly what happens, and just helping firms for many years get in position to winning myself. And so anyway, I hope that just kind of gives you a sneak peek on how I got into it.
Well, I will tell you, if I have someone in my corner fighting for me and helping me strategize and getting an award, I want them to love all the background stuff that you talked about, writing, the paperwork piece of it, because I think that is what deters so many businesses, wouldn't you say, from going they're just not educated on it. I included, we've done some workshops on government funding, and really that workshop wasn't about positioning. It was about who are the companies in your area that already have the government funds that need your resources, because they've got to use those funds toward those resources. Right. And you can become a subcontractor of that award. So that was really what we taught, more so than how to position yourself or apply for. So what would you say, as you got into this and as you've been doing this now with all of your clients, is the number one thing that's deterring a business owner out there from looking into researching and taking that step?
I think the number one word would be that they're overwhelmed. They get on the internet, maybe they see a YouTube and learn about the excitement of there's contracts out there, but there is so many paperwork, there are so many links, different steps that you need to go through. So I like to, instead of focusing on first the sales, I see so many companies go out there and try to sell to an agency before they're ready. I focus on the positioning, because that's the long game. You want to make sure that you have your ducks in a row. And I'm going to speak to those who may even know something about this. Not necessarily just certification. Of course, that's one piece. That's like putting on your tool belt, right? But just beyond that, understanding what the agencies buy, and do they buy it in the capacity that you've sold before? So maybe you sell, maybe you sell pencils, and you've sold pencils, 30,000 pencils, but they're looking for, in one sale, you sold that, but they're looking for maybe 1 million pencils in one sale. And so maybe you are not positioned because you don't have the capacity for that. So that's when it's time to step back, yes, with some subcontracting. But before you get to that, you want to know who buys what you sell, who's the player, who are the players, who are the end users, who are the program managers, all of these people, and what are their, like I say, what is it that their problems are? What are their pain points that you can solve? So you don't just go to them saying, I want to get a government contract, or, I sell this. Can I sell this to you? You want to know how what you offer solves their problem, and I think that that's something that maybe companies have heard before, some of them, but they don't consistently follow that,
Yeah.
They may start out, researching who buys what they sell, but that's also a continuous process. They don't keep up with following up. Like, they say the fortune is in the follow-up. They don't keep up with following up with those agencies. So it's not as sexy as, I'm going to win a $10 million contract, but I'm going to tell you, those companies that have won those contracts have done the steps that I'm telling you. They have, we've worked from getting them positioned with, first certification, also figuring out what the agency uses. Maybe it's beyond a certification. Maybe it's what they call getting on a list, like a GSA schedule. So maybe that's the piece that we need to do. Making sure that they have enough commercial experience, that they've sold this before. No one wants to do business with someone that's just entering business. Usually they want to see some past performance, some proof that you can perform. So make sure that you've you've performed on your own on contracts commercially. And as Colleen mentioned, maybe as a subcontractor. So that also helps you with your past performance, because if you're a sub to, say, for instance, the Air Force, then that's your past performance as well. I'm talking a lot, so jump in.
That makes a lot of sense, Christina. And I think that I'm sitting here trying to take all of this in and digest it. And then I'm like, now I know exactly why I have never taken the steps to position myself. Because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that's a lot, right? And there was a need in the market for somebody like you to position companies, because you're right. Those are a lot of steps. And if you don't know what you're doing, the percentage of people that can get the awards when they have no idea what they're doing, because someone who's a business owner thinks, well, everyone keeps telling me there's money out there from the government for the taking. So how do I get a piece of that pie, right? How do I get all the money that's just wasted every year that's available for us to be able to tap into? And many business owners think it's as easy as what you said, like go on the internet, click on a button. There's all these links. They start clicking on the links. And before you know it, they're like, forget it. I'm out. Yeah. I don't even know what the next steps are. So who is a real client of yours that you are really proud of that, has, and you can, use fake names or whatever, that, had a product or service that really wasn't positioned to get the award, and you helped them do that to move in that direction? And how long does that take?
It can vary. I'll start with that. It can vary from, 6 months to 24 months. And so, having the appetite to wait and continue to take these steps over and over again to build relationships, because we know, people do business with people they know, just like in commercial, or just like, in your private life, as far as, making friendships, getting to know people, it takes time. So it may take anywhere between there. However, I can give you a couple of examples. I can give you a quick example where it happened quickly, and then I'll give you one that was a longer term. So there are the occasions, like this was during the pandemic, where there was a real need, for food, different resources for people who were struggling. And I had a company that provided food products in the airport. And so a lot of the things, they had concession stands, and a lot of the items that they were providing were going to go bad. So they were, really desperate. Also, they were, the airport is essentially closed. And so they were looking for ways to, use the food and somewhat get a contract or something like that. So in that case, they were able to partner with a firm that can distribute it, the trucks, and distribute these items, and was able to, in that case, win a $23 million contract, first contract,
Wow.
by being in the right place at the right time, but also, getting the coaching to, you need to do this. You need to make sure that you have this paperwork in place. You need to have this partnership. And there was an immediate need. So sometimes, not all the time, there is an immediate need that you can feel by just being ready. Okay. So that's one example. An
Okay, and I'm
example
going
of
to
a
pause
really,
you right there because I just wanted to share that if they would have tried to go after that on their own and they didn't know that they had to get the partnership with the distribution trucks and all of that. And they would have gone to the government. The government would have said, this isn't going to, how can we give you an award? This isn't going to, you can't distribute it to anyone. We can't help you
exactly.
alone. And it's not the government's responsibility to help you piece together your business, to find partnerships for you to be able to win the award, right? That's not their responsibility. They're just going to say, well, that's denied because there's nothing we can do. We can't help you. We can't give it to you because you have no way to get the food where we need it to go. But if
Right.
all your ducks are in the row and you're lining everything up, and now we see the potential of what you're able to do and deliver, well, of course we want to give you the award, because now you're
Right.
able to satisfy a need that is out there that we're willing to fund.
Exactly.
Okay, great, Christina. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, tell us about the longer game one, because again, the pandemic doesn't happen every other year. It's not like, hey, just jump
Exactly.
right back into the pandemic. So
Right.
what would be a typical possible, for a company that needed this?
Right. So typically we want to start with, really researching who buys what you sell. I'm going to want to find out how much experience you have in selling this product or service commercially. And maybe I'll tell you, for instance, you need to step back because you don't have enough experience and we need to build some experience through subcontracting, and also not just through subcontracting, through small purchases. So there are micro purchases where the agency can just like us, slide their credit card and buy really small amounts of products or services. And by doing that, that establishes you as a prime contractor, and those are not advertised. Those are simply, you're constantly following up, calling, but guess what? You have to know who to call, who's going to need that. And so, that's what we would work together to establish a list. I've done that before. And then you're just dialing for dollars, basically, whether it's state or federal. They both have a process to use what they call a P card, a purchase card, to purchase items, under 10,000. It depends on what that particular buyer's limit is. Of course, there are really high value. Some buyers have really high, thresholds where they could purchase for a lot more. So that's one avenue that I've seen companies in the state, for example, just call using, doing the research. This is what they're buying. And in the case of the state of California, I'm going to speak on because that's where I am. They have the list of the buyer in the email, and, looking up, doing a little research, finding the phone number, and just, constantly dialing for dollars. That's one avenue for a small purchase. Now, for ones who were building, like, for instance, a $10 million contract, where a client started out coming from an industry where they had experience in that industry, as working as an employee. And then they started their own business and worked, actually volunteered some, gave away some of their service in order to establish an exchange for past performance with commercial agencies. And then went from that, we built the certifications, and then the client was able to have these commercial clients now pay them, as well as start to look for government contracts. Then we were able to get a couple of small government contracts. And then from there, this is over this whole process. When we get to the 10 million, I'll tell you how long that took. It took a little bit. So, but we're talking about someone that's coming straight out of, working as an employee. And then from, we have the small contracts. We have a couple small contracts with the government and a couple of commercial contracts that are working because they initially offered up their services, again, pro bono. And so from there, we started the marketing, just, of course, realizing this person wanted to focus on federal because there was a good market there, and finding out who buys what they sell. So beyond finding out that, we had to attend events, go to what they call capability briefings, where you are able to present your product or service to an agency. So it would be like a gatekeeper, usually like a small business specialist, as well as the end user a lot of times, who's going to be using that product or service, the program manager, the contracting officer. If you are given an opportunity to get these 4 or 5 people in a room, which they do all the time, that's like marketing like on steroids. So we were able to get some of those opportunities lined up. And then we went next step. And when they put out the RFP, we already had a warm introduction. They knew us, right? They knew what they were providing. And then we submitted proposal. First, we submitted actually what they call an RFI, request for information. And then we ended up submitting a proposal response when that was put out, which was written more towards what we offered because we showed a solution, what our solution would be to their problem. And then from there, it moved into contract award. And then in one contract, this person won a $10 million contract multi-year.
Wow, that's great. And that came straight out of that person being an employee. So really starting from the ground up. So
that's, an example starting from the ground up.
Right. So you showed an example of someone that was already up and operating. There was a huge need in the pandemic, so they moved very, very quickly. And then you shared the example of someone that was coming straight out of corporate America and really wanted to go this route in working with those government awards. And it sounds like they were willing to do what it took step by step to position themselves.
I love that, Colleen. They were willing to do what it took. Yeah, because that's what people. So continuing to work in the commercial space is important too. Not to just focus only on government because things, ebbs and flow. Things go up and down. But playing the long game, right? Yeah. To continue to build those relationships, it always works. I talk to people who I haven't helped, and when they've been successful. Or I've talked to one actually that I did help that is now a $30 million company. And just recently, again, just talking about what we did in the beginning to get to their success and what they're doing now. And it's a lot of the same things, just being out there and really marketing that company and showing that they have the services that the agencies need.
Yeah, that's so great. And if you don't have the knowledge, then you don't know the path, right? If you don't have kind of that blueprint like you do, and you know the path because you've gotten so many awards and worked with so many companies and position them, that is the most important piece here that we need to keep drilling in is you don't just go for an award and get the award. You have to, it's not about help me fill out this paperwork. I need someone just to fill out this paperwork. How do I do that? And I think that's the shortcut that everybody thinks they're just going to get to, and it's not. So if you want a shortcut, I would say the fastest way is to go be a subcontractor for someone that already has the award, right? That's the fastest way to work with those dollars because they're already allocated. And if you have a specialty and they need it in that area, then you can do that as a subcontractor. But if you're really looking to get the award, then it's something that's probably going to be a longer game and you need to be willing to take those steps. But the rewards are so amazing with the patience and the perseverance to do this. What give us a number. Do you have a number, Christina, of what your awards have been up to this point? Like ballparkish, what are your awards that you've been able to accumulate and win for all of your customers?
So that number is 200 million. And that is due to direct contract awards, contract vehicles of all types, whether it be a GSA schedule, a Seaport E, which is a particular agency
None of us
schedule.
Know what those are.
Yes, all
someone
of the
out there
different
might.
agency list. So if you want to get on a government's pre-approved list to sell your product or service, you go through a process. And with federal, it's a schedule. So with state, they also have a schedule where you're pre-approved to be on the list. It just makes it easier for the buyer to find you and to know that your pricing has been pre-vetted. So I don't have to really go back and forth and negotiate with you because your price has already been negotiated with the government.
I don't know about any of you out there, but when I hear 200 million, I think to myself, wow, Christina's the real deal. Like she's really positioning these companies and working with them to get these awards. And there is there is income, there is money out there. There are awards out there, state and federal, that is available. And if this is something you've not considered before or have tried yourself before in the past and have not succeeded, I'm highly going to recommend that Province Consulting be the right step for you to take. And you can find out more about that at provinceconsulting.com. The other area that she also you can find hers on Instagram, and I love your Instagram handle. To me, it seems like one of the best ones out there, because if someone's doing a keyword or searching government contracts, you're government contract specialist. So it's government underscore contract underscore specialist. So they can find you that way as well. And then you can connect with her at C Jones on LinkedIn. So it's Christina Jones on LinkedIn. Christina, anything, any last minute nugget you want to share with our listeners?
I want to say, don't be frustrated by this process. And also, I want to say that I will help you where meet you where you are. So, for example, the example I gave you of someone that had not entered, really just entering business, you have to step back a little further. But I want you to think of being open, of getting in, where you can start, whether it's subcontracting or whether it's just a small contract yourself. Maybe you can offer something to a buyer that they need immediately that they could purchase with their credit card. Just consider those things. And actually, the most important tip, before you do any of this, research. Find out who is buying what you sell locally, state, federal. Find out who's buying it. And probably a good place to start is on, I'll give you a site like usaspending.gov. Use that site to use keywords, your codes, which you can look up either by keyword and it'll find the code, and then find out the agencies that are buying what you sell, but drill down even further and look for your product service code. That tells you beyond the next code, not what the category is, but what they actually bought. Consider the PSC codes is really important.
Yeah, we put usaspending.gov. I'll drop it in the comments in Facebook for those of you that are watching us, and if you want to go there right away. And for those of you that are listening through the podcast, it'll be at your fingertips below, usaspending.gov, so you can go there to get started. Christina, you're absolutely fantastic. I told you guys, she was wicked smart. So did you hear that? $200 million in contracts. I think she knows what she's doing. So it pays to find the who, right? It pays to find the person that knows what they're doing, that's the expert in a specific area that can help you reach the award that you need to get. If that is not your expertise area, then reach out to somebody like Christina, especially at provinceconsulting.com. Follow her on LinkedIn, connect with her on Instagram, all of these channels that are out there for you to connect with her. I want to say you need to reach out to her directly. So I'm assuming you do a consulting call. If someone were to call you and say, hey, I don't even know if I qualify. Can I talk to you about what I do and where I'm at and how long I've been in business? And you would kind of dig in a little bit to see where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one thing I wanted to mention is you can book a chat on my website. Okay. So if you put in like PCG / leap in the notes, then I will give you, so the chat is normally 15 minutes, but I'll give you a 45-minute strategy session.
Oh, nice. Great. Okay. So we'll make sure that we put that as well in the notes and that we have that. And Christina, thank you so much for being on today's show. It was absolutely fabulous. And I'm just going to remind our listeners out there, my goodness, everybody, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. What have you built? What have you built as a business that you want to continue building to a $30 million business, to a $40 million business? Or maybe some of you are like, I would be happy with a $1 million business. What are you looking to build? And this is your only chance. Why not align yourself with the experts that have already had a $200 million awarded throughout their clients? You want to go and work with the ones that are proven, that know what they're doing, that are the experts in the area, that can guide you, that can position you, that can eventually get you to that award. So, Christina, thank you so much again for being on today's show. And to
Thank you so
all
much.
of you, you're so welcome. To all of you out there in Facebook, thank you so much for joining us live today. And for all of you out there, thank you for being our loyal listeners on Take the Leap. And until next time, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.